If you are into crime documentaries, these top 10 stories should grab your interest. Some classic cases, as well as new ones you probably never knew about, are presented, and all are available on Netflix right now. Viewer beware, however, since these stories are mostly rated mature and contain graphic details of horrific crimes. American Murderer: The Family Next Door. This is the story of the Watts family murders that took place in 2018 in Frederick, Colorado. A surprising amount of actual footage from law enforcement recordings and home video, as well as social media posts and text messages, provides striking details of the killings and the hunt for the killer. It's an 83-minute documentary released in September 2020 that ends with all the answers, but you're not sure what to believe from the beginning. Netflix reports it's the most watched documentary to date. It is a well-done and captivating story, even though it is heartbreaking. Murder Among the Mormons. Murder Among the Mormons is a 3-part docuseries covering the investigation of deadly bombings and exchange of rare documents that shook the foundations of the LDS Church. The story begins with Mark Hoffman in 1985 in Salt Lake City, Utah. Hoffman deals in rare antiquities and discovers early Mormon letters that force questions about the origins of the church. With the letters verified to be real, it reaches the highest levels inside the church. Hoffman strikes a deal to sell these and other documents to another collector tied to the church, but shortly before the exchange, pipe bombs kill 2 people involved and he is injured by one as well. The hunt for the truth leads to the ultimate unfolding of the entire story. Night Stalker: The Hunt for a Serial Killer. This is a 4-part docuseries that covers the famous Night Stalker Richard Ramirez story. As the city is terrorized by chilling murders, detectives try to make sense out of the evidence to find the killer. With no consistency between the crimes, it was hard for them to link different cases and difficult to locate the actual killer. The story is primarily focused on the recollections of 2 detectives, Gil Carrillo and Frank Salerno, who were instrumental in solving the case and catching Richard Ramirez. The Keepers. The Keepers is a 7-episode documentary that examines the unsolved murder of nun Catherine Sesnick in 1969. She was a teacher at an all-girls high school and suspected that a priest at the school was sexually abusing students. Sister Catherine Sesnick ends up dead, and former students suspect there was a cover-up. The case remains unsolved, so you won't get the final answers from this series, but it is still a riveting story. The documentary has received critical acclaim since its release, along with a high approval rating from viewers. The series is labeled Season 1 on Netflix, and there is speculation about a second season, but as of yet, nothing is confirmed. The Innocent Man. Based on the only non-fiction book by John Grisham, The Innocent Man follows the story of 2 murders in small-town Ada, Oklahoma in the early 1980s, and the men convicted of the crimes. You don't know for sure if the 2 murders are connected, but the story mainly focuses on one of the men, Ron Williamson, who spent 11 years on death row before DNA evidence cleared him and another of the crime. John Grisham is a member of the Innocent Project that tested the DNA evidence collected at the scene and ultimately led to overturning the conviction. Throughout the story, the local prosecutors are maligned for their mismanagement of the case and the potential that others were wrongly convicted as well. Since the airing of the documentary, more information has come out that furthers the story, but I recommend watching the series first before you look it up. Wormwood. This 6-part docuseries covers the life of scientist Frank Olson, who worked for a secret government biological warfare program for the CIA. The U.S. government claimed his death in 1953 was a tragic accident, but later admitted it was likely due to suicide caused by an overdose of LSD tied to a top-secret experiment. The story is told by Frank Olson's son, Eric, who has spent years searching for answers to his father's death and the possibility it was no accident. Much of the story surrounds the persistence of Eric in pursuit of the truth and exposes some of the darkest government secrets of the time. If Cold War history, covert operations, and spooky storytelling interest you, then you'll enjoy Wormwood. The Staircase. Was it an accident or murder? The Staircase is a 13-part series documenting the trial of novelist Michael Peterson, accused of killing his wife Kathleen. He claimed Kathleen had fallen down the stairs and died, but authorities believed he bludgeoned her to death. The story follows the trial of Peterson from the point of view of his defense team. The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. New this year is a true crime documentary covering the story of Elisa Lamb, who dies in the Cecil Hotel in 2013 under mysterious circumstances. The hotel is home to other strange connections, including the previous living quarters of the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. This 4-part series spends time discussing the hotel as much as the mysterious deaths. The final odd moments of Elisa's life are caught on video, which adds to the intrigue of what actually may have happened. Wild Wild Country. Wild Wild Country is a 6-part crime documentary covering the controversial Rajneeshpuram community of followers in rural Oregon in the 1980s. After establishing a commune near the small town of Antelope, the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh invited his followers to sell all their belongings and move there. Within months, the leaders fell into legal battles over land use, since it was originally registered for agriculture, but quickly formed into a town of over 7,000 people with the infrastructure to support it. Rajneesh followers began purchasing lots in Antelope and were able to outnumber the local residents to take control of the city government. As a result, they voted to designate the Rajneeshpuram community as an incorporated city. Tensions rose and culminated in 1984 county elections when leaders of the group infected salad bars at several restaurants with salmonella to curtail the voting population so their candidates could win. Although 751 people were infected, the local community showed up in large numbers to defeat the Rajneesh candidates. Eventually, the criminal activities of the leaders were exposed and many were arrested when trying to flee the country. Making a Murderer. One of the early true crime documentaries released by Netflix, Making a Murderer, won several awards and garnered a huge viewership following its premiere in 2015. The show tells the story of Stephen Avery from Manitowoc County, Wisconsin, who spent 18 years in prison only to be exonerated for the crime after DNA tests matched another man. The first part includes 10 episodes which were filmed over a 10-year period and covers his arrest, conviction, and subsequent exoneration. After his release, Avery was again charged and convicted of another murder along with Avery's nephew, Brendan Dassey, as an accessory. The second part, released in 2018, follows up with 10 episodes covering the aftermath of the new convictions and presents the argument that Avery and his nephew are being framed once again. These top 10 true crime documentaries are all available right now on Netflix. Be sure to check out my other TV Sneak Peek videos for more recommendations. Thanks for watching TV Sneak Peek. If you have better suggestions for TV shows, tell us about it in the comments. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to get notified of future videos.